welcome to
Spread the Word!
Okay, so this is May's episode of Spread the Word.
I was going to try and make a joke about me having the longest gestation period ever since it's May.
Yeah, that's true.
Spoiler, we record these early.
Yeah. So I read How to Be Eaten by Maria Adelman. I picked this up because it was sort of a dark spin on fairy tales, which we all three love. When I was describing this to somebody else, they were kind of like, okay, so is this like Disney fairy tale? And I was like, no, this is like grim at its grimmest.
Are they like well-known ones, or are they some of like the obscure ones?
A little bit of a mix, I would say.
What was the most well-known one?
Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay.
So
that's the cover.
Yes.
What was the most obscure one?
The most obscure was actually, I wouldn't call it a fairy tale. It was actually Bluebeard.
Oh.
Which is fun, right? So it's about a therapy group of 5 women, and they're coming to talk about their traumas. And it's Ruby, Bernice, Raina, Ashley, Gretel. So Ruby, in particular, she shows up at the first meeting, and she's just like a damn mess. She's like walking in late. She's got this giant-ass fur coat on.
Oh, boy.
That you can tell has seen some things. Like, just gross. Basically, her story is when she was a child, she was going over to her grandmother's house, and she ran into a wolf. The wolf can talk. The wolf is definitely coming on to her in a sexual way. You're not sure if it's a man until it starts to describe him walking on all fours. There's a tail that swishes between her legs. He follows her to her grandmother's house, kills her grandmother, eats Ruby. And Ruby is cut out of his stomach by some like methed out hunter guy who happened upon this happening. And she had like actual like acid burns on her skin from like being in his stomach.
Logical.
Right.
Also, like, I appreciate the detail of the guy being methed out, because who else would just like be like, a very large wolf, let me gut you and see what's inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So he makes a coat out of the wolf for her.
Also,
what one?
Not an unhinged thing to do at all.
Right. That's really going to help her on her journey to recovery.
But she is wearing it now, so.
She wears it all the time. Yeah. She feels like she takes power from it, but it's not really what's happening. It's it's just more trauma. Like, it's just, she's just like, oh, I'm wearing the skin of my attacker.
If it was more of a conscious choice versus something that somebody is foisting on her, like,
Yeah.
this is how you process this, child.
Yes.
She's like, okay.
Yeah. So that's Ruby's story. And then you have Bernice. And Bernice's story is she falls in love with this, like, billionaire that goes by Bluebeard. He has, like, a blue beard, and all of his, like, shit is blue. His house is blue. Like,
a little far.
Yeah. Yes. That's all I was thinking of when I was reading it.
Also, it was like, his beard wasn't actually blue. It was just so black. It was, like a blue black.
Right.
Whatever.
He dyed his, like...
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
He, like... builds this mansion across the street from where she lives with her parents. So she's like really young too, but not as young as Ruby. I think like early 20s, maybe late, like 19 or something like that. And he builds this like blue mansion in front of their house, in front of this ocean view that they used to have. And so she goes to a party of his, and he seduces her, and he has this like beautiful furniture around everywhere. And she realizes one day that these treasures that he's collecting, these bone inlaid treasures, are treasures of a different kind. Something that maybe a serial killer would collect.
Yeah.
Then there's Ashley, and she's really interesting. Ashley is like modern day fairy tale gone wrong. She ends up on a version of The Bachelor. This world's version of The Bachelor. Isn't that
really
clever?
Yeah. I like that.
So they're in this therapy group led by this man who also has a mysterious story.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there's a big twist. Oh, God. Yeah. All of their stories have little twists, and then, like,
All collectively, there's a twist.
Yeah. And really, the whole, like, message of the book is just sort of that idea of like victim blaming and shaming. Like, they're always talking about how like the media portrayed them kind of reminded me of Final Girl Support Group, where they're just kind of talking about how they were damned if they do, damned if they don't. They couldn't do anything right. Ruby seduced the wolf, and that's why what happened to her happened. And Bernice was in it for this man's money, and that's why what happened to her happened.
It sounds really, it sounds very good.
It is very, very good.
Okay. Hide very different from what I usually read. But Kiersten White is one of my favorite young adult authors, but she writes a lot of stuff. So it looks super, I mean, I would say it looks pretty creepy on the front. So it does take place in an abandoned amusement park. Right. It's hard to say like there's a main character because there's 14 contestants that go into this contest. It's a hide and seek contest at this old amusement park. The person whose brain you're plucked in, like stuck into first, is Mac, and like immediately you know she's been through something very traumatic because she is remembering her father running a knife through her sister's body.
Oh God.
That's traumatic.
There's like small reveals pretty early on of like Mac was the sole survivor of a mass murder that her father did. He told the kids to go and hide, and he like murdered the family and then went and found them. But they didn't find her until he like had killed himself. And then the police were there, and she didn't come out for like 12 hours or something like that. I would say like if there is a main character, it's her, because I do think you get more of her perspective for longer. But quickly it becomes apparent like something's weird. They all get dropped off at this location and are picked up by a bus, but not till like hours later. And they've all been like, there's no food, there's no water, there's no bathrooms, and they're like all dehydrated or whatever. Finally a bus arrives for them with like sandwiches and water, and they're like, thank God, and like a bathroom. And so there's like, oh, there's like a scheduling misunderstanding. You're like, was there?
So they're really building some anxiety here.
Yeah. And then one of the contestants, Ava, there's two Avas. There's beautiful Ava, and there's Ava who's been to Iraq Ava. Yeah, there's like a lot going on. Yeah, she is like, did they drug the water? Because she's like, I never sleep, though I slept the whole way on this bus. And she has so much anxiety that she doesn't sleep unless she feels safe.
Oh, wow.
And so then she's convinced that they've drugged the water. And you're like, what? And I don't know. And so then they get to the amusement park. First, they take them through like a weird little spa day. And you're like, what is this? You know, they're like, they shower and they get massages. And you're like, what is happening? This doesn't make any sense.
What are they like prepping them for?
Right. And the whole time, some of them, like, beautiful Ava is like, she's like looking like how are they gonna set this up? She thinks it's a reality show, and like I think that they've sort of like led people to believe it's for something. They're supposed to win $50,000 at the end if they can.
Oh God. So it's beautiful Ava like, where are the cameras?
Yes.
Like
So the rules are you have to hide the whole day, and you can't come out at all, or you're out.
Oh, okay.
So like sun up to sundown. So they're like, so Max like immediately like, okay, I'm gonna hydrate now, and then because I'm gonna dehydrate during the day, so I don't have to get up and pee. Because if I need to pee, I have to pee in my pants. And it's like that's the level of the competition. So the first few days, you get some of the perspective of the people. And it's very built up, sort of like horror, like where it's like one of them, Rosie, she goes and hides, and she like cuts herself on something, and like kind of drips blood around, and you're like, because like by this time you're like, I don't think that normal things are seeking them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So yeah.
And I'm guessing the main character,
Mac.
I'm guessing she's having a lot of flashbacks to her own trauma throughout, and you're getting pieces of that as you go.
Yes,
okay.
That's happening. I'll be honest, I'm not done yet, but I have gotten to the point where it is apparent what more of the situation actually is. But I don't know who's gonna make it out.
Okay.
Now. Like, some people have already definitely been eaten.
Okay.
They've been eaten.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sign up for an amusement park reality show.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah. That's where I'm at now.
So definitely supernatural elements for sure. 100%.
For sure. Yeah.
It does.
I read the murder rule. Okay, so imagine if Veronica Mars, Legally Blonde, and what's that movie about the Innocence Project? Michael B. Jordan. All of those three people got together and had a baby.
Oh, okay.
It would be it would be this book.
False imprisonment of someone, and an upstart new lawyer gets them out who is maybe a blonde and also really intrepid.
Detective work?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the ethos we are working with.
Okay. Cool.
So Hannah is a 3L 3L. She's a 3L. Terminology that I have learned.
Yeah, I don't know.
A third-year law student.
Oh, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's like, it makes sense. It's like, why do you have to make college?
Right.
Everything must be short, and they have no time for anything.
No time. They have no time. She has come to Virginia specifically because the law clinic there, the law school, it houses the Innocence Project.
Okay.
And so,
which is getting people that were falsely imprisoned out of.
People who claim that they are innocent of their crimes. Mm-hmm. They get them to they apply, they thousands and thousands of applications. This is a real thing. And, they have law students and then a couple lawyers actually working on it, but it's mostly run by law students. Or I guess the grunt work is done by law students. Mm. And it's actually argued by real lawyers.
Right.
Yeah. She weasels her way into it by by attempting to blackmail the director.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
She knew somebody who had a relationship with him at Virginia as a student, and casually dropped that in her email after he'd said applications have been closed forever, and also I don't care how great you are, if you can't follow basic directions, no, you can't be in this program. And she was like, oh, that's interesting because blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay, come see me. And then she comes in and he's like, okay, so that doesn't work because she wasn't my student, and it was disclosed to people anyways, but I am impressed that you would even try that.
Only in law school.
Yeah.
Only in law school with this dick move.
Right.
He's like, and I need people who are willing to play dirty like that, basically. So she gets in, and she also, you get some chapters with, from the perspective of another woman 20 years ago that you're come to find out is Hannah's mother, Lauren. Her mother worked at she was a housekeeper, I think, at a fancy place over a summer. So you get it's her diary of that time. All you know going into this is that Hannah wanted to come to the Innocence Project because they're working on a case, a very high profile case, that she needs to make sure they aren't successful. And so she signs up to sabotage, basically, this case. And it's all because of these diaries that her mother wrote. She finds diaries when she's in high school, or maybe a little younger than that, and finds out something very bad happened to her mother. And the guy who did it is the guy that they're trying to get out of jail, but not for that crime. That's the premise of the book that is also on the jacket copy.
Right.
I have given away nothing. Things are not as they seem, and you do not find this out until the last quarter of the book. And she does some really clever things to find out information of all these random people who were involved. She also does some very bad things that they're just bad. They're just bad. And then she does some things that are morally gray. The Elle Woods connection, she does end up arguing in court.
About a perm?
No, but there is hair involved.
Oh, okay.
There is hair involved.
Yeah. Obviously, that's how court goes on every
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of violence. There are also some dirty cops. There are it's almost like hill people, but they're not hill people, but they are in the mountains.
What is happening?
What genre
A
is
lot.
it?
It's mystery. It's a mystery thriller.
Okay, so the comparison to Elle Woods, because I feel that gives them definitely a tone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
to it. It's more just because there are things that are happening that are way outlandish for what would actually be happening.
Well, it's specifically the fact that a law student is arguing a case in court.
Yeah.
Okay, but
the
vibe is not. The vibe,
is not
Elle Woods. Okay.
Okay.
There will be a baby at this time when you see this.
Yeah, the baby will
be
2 months
outside. Not within, without.
But on that note, we will have a guest stars lined up. So you should definitely plan to tune in the next few months.
And they are people that you will know from around the circle and from local businesses.
A little something different, a little spice, a little zest.
I don't know.
Zest.
Imagine this now with them in the middle, and we're just gonna zest you a little bit. We're just sprinkle some other stuff on it into a very weird comical place. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, very physical comedy.
That's great.
Yep.
Anyway, well,
We'll see you in June.
yep. Bye.
I won't.
Bye.